Wait, what are those?
Nothing.
Are those?
No.
Are they bridesmaid dresses?
This is none of your business.
What, you kept them all? You have a whole closet full. Why?
I have a lot of friends and I like to keep them.
Right. Well, that makes complete sense because they're beautiful.
Some of them are not that bad.
Not that bad? I'd like to see one of them that's not that bad.
Fine.
Welcome to this video where we will try on 27 dresses that I've made over my decade of sewing and design. These were actually all made within like the last 5-ish years. I made a lot more than that because I did over a dozen commissions throughout that decade that are obviously sold. Without further ado, let's try this all on. It's going to take a very long time. I'm already out of breath from getting all these out of the closet that they're stored in at the end of the house, and also gathering all the accessories, the shoes, the corsets, the undergarments, every single thing. And yeah, I'm gonna try them all on with all the pieces, which... This, of course, is the most exciting, the Cinderella ball gown, which the hem is fraying because I never hemmed it because I'm like that. I'm also planning to do a lot of transition videos for reels and stuff. I need to make sure my background stays the same for all these type of things. Hopefully we'll get some good reels out of this whole process. I did not do that one. It's okay. Fiction to Fashion series, where I take a popular movie character and create a red carpet, hopefully worthy look for them. But let's start with the superheroes that I've done, because I've mainly done superheroes, because that's what the movies have been coming out. Black Widow, my very first Fiction to Fashion. It was where the idea for Fiction to Fashion originated. I always look at the pictures and see a lot of wrinkles in the bodice, so that's always kind of bothered me, but at the same time, like putting it on again, I'm like, it's not that bad. I love what I was able to do with all the piping details. To do some more jumping into squats. So I just realized there's supposed to be pants with this, and I have no idea where they are. Found them, I looked several places, then realized I was organized, and I put them in the bottom of the dress bag that I stored the dress in. Very smart. This is probably my favorite Fiction to Fashion look. The Spider-Man is a close second. It's got the movement, it's got the floaty feel, which I think is perfect for Scarlett. Turned out exactly as I drew it, as I imagined it. It's also my favorite video. I do themed outfits throughout it and edit it like different episodes of WandaVision. I got to be so creative with that whole video process. I did a lot of this for the photo shoot. Jump and pose. That looks so weird. It's my asymmetric Loki-inspired look. This is one of my more fun closures because it's diagonal, but it's very hard to do by yourself. Got it past the tricky point. The pleats don't necessarily stay pleated, it's out. Just interfacing. There's Loki. Front still looks good, the back not so much. Got a lot of wrinkles going on just because of that losing its pleats. It now has extra fabric back there. This one is not technically fully finished. I still have some lining to attach, but that happens. Voila. I have not put this on since No Way Home came out. It fits. There. I have to say, I love the bias cut of this dress with the triangles, and the sheer triangles are fun. This one was definitely way too high. Of course, to bring in the blue, I made this weird 8-paneled skirt thing. It didn't turn out exactly as I imagined it or wanted it to work. The movement isn't really there. I'm a big proponent of creating movement, and it should showcase another aspect of the design when it moves, but this really, it looks best standing still. When I walk, it drags off in the background, and also you have to like whoop, kick it off. This thing didn't work as well as it ought to. The part that didn't were these connections. I needed really more hooks and eyes along that, and then it probably would have stayed better. So standing looks like this. And then turn around. Back. It actually is not as bad as I remember. This part, the structure part of the fluff, is obviously a very weird color. Doesn't really match very well, and so I think that's what I didn't like about the spin, is because you'd see that and it just didn't, it clashed. Ow. You know, that actually really hurts to throw the shoe because it lands on your foot and the heel digs into you. What should we do for reals? Oh, look at that beautiful fabric. That is not slow motion. That is the magic of this Umissima type fabric that was used for the Cinderella dress. It's just incredible. It just floats. It made the Cinderella dress what it is. It's mesmerizing. This is my Hobbit fiction to fashion look. I dyed the silk velvet with turmeric outside in front of a brilliantly orange tree, and I dyed this wool gauze down on the riverbed, literally, and then I sewed part of it sitting in a tree, and then I sewed this on a stump. The whole idea was this adventure through Lord of the Rings, kind of, as I sewed this. And it was kind of a quirky, weird video, but it was fun. I feel like it's pretty simple compared to my other ones. I probably would have preferred a skirt, but I love the shoes. The shoes just bring it all together because hairy feet. This is my latest project, the Dune-inspired look. Went to the sand dunes in Oklahoma to film the final shots, and the wind took advantage of the cape and just blew it perfectly in the wind, like I envisioned. It's just a super long cape, silk chiffon, absolutely gorgeous, and I didn't hem it, so that's why it's fraying like crazy. This is Sylvie. What are you doing? Here, I'll bring your bed in. Just give me a minute. Come on. This is a problem, is it's easy to just keep getting ideas. Everything takes so much longer because I keep having ideas. Back it up, back it up. That's better. Okay. I wear more regularly regularly. That's such a weird word. More regularly. That sounds so wrong. Okay, we're gonna rephrase that. Here's another dress that I wear more often, not to a costume event, because it's my Easter dress. I made a lot of dresses for my nieces right before Easter, and I decided to make one myself. I love it because it's linen. Linen is so amazing. I love linen. But this is this. That first one was good. This is my Grace Kelly and 18th century mashup dress. My idea was 1950s, inspired by Grace Kelly, and the 18th century. And so that's why I did the back the way that I did it with those pleats. I actually quite like it. It's kind of fun. Now, I could technically wear this, but honestly, I'm just not brave enough to wear anything like this. I know that's crazy considering what I make. If it was the right event, I would do it. It's a themed look and dress, and I just don't wear that type of things for everyday life. This one is my Joy dance video outfit. So it was a For King and Country song that we choreographed a 1950s inspired dance to it. And it was a very big production. It was really challenging, but really fun. It was a passion project for me. It was my largest to-date costuming endeavor. I'm out of breath from jumping and doing the transitions. But I made 8 dresses and 8 pairs of 1950s trousers for the guys. And I did that within way too short of time frame. But this was mine that I had a vision for way before I had any ideas for the rest of them. Aspect of having this dark fabric. Underneath I have a layer of light blue and then silver underneath. And so that during the dancing and the twirling, you get an iridescent and lightness to the dress as she dances to kind of represent joy. I love how this dress turned out. I love the back. The back is my absolute favorite. It's just very twirly, and I feel like I could dance and dance, and that's why I got sore the other day. So this is my Christmas case dress, which I replicated from a case that I had. I never liked the back because it's pretty wrinkly, and just with this fabric, it just really is obvious. This skirt is really fun. I like this skirt. It should have a really fluffy petticoat underneath it. That would be ideal. This is something I just thought of. I should do that Vogue where people do like a weird pose and it becomes a Vogue cover. Be like, oh. Have you seen that like Zendaya one where she's like, try that. Last one. So this is my 1950s replica dress. So I got a vintage dress from the 1950s. I actually bought it from Bernadette Banner, and then I was able to do a video with her. I love 1950s style, so it just hits all the boxes, and it was really fun researching vintage dress and using the same techniques that they used to make this one. Wow, look at me go. I haven't put this dress on, gosh, it's probably been since the photo shoot, which was in 2017, I believe, which is crazy. So this dress is the oldest I have in this collection of costumes. I was 16 at the time, or I just turned 17. I made it because my sister-in-law was having Alice in Wonderland birthday party, and I thought it would be a good idea a few weeks before that party to sew a whole replica for that party. Because that's how I work, I guess. But I also ended up buying my brother embroidery machine for this project because I wanted a replica embroidery on the skirt. And I learned how to digitize that and everything for this project, which was so fun and kind of crazy, or very crazy. Fun to think like what I sewed at 17. I don't find too much fault with it. There's little things I'm like, oh, I learned how to do that better, which is a good thing. Another funny fact about this, I had never seen Alice in Wonderland. I never read the book, I didn't see the cartoon, and I didn't see the live action when I chose to make this dress. Googled the movie, saw the dress, and I was like, ooh, I should replicate that one. That should work. This is Alice in Wonderland from Unbridged Look. This was a commission, but she ended up pulling out of it. I made it anyway for YouTube videos, but it would not to be one that I would choose to replicate. It's just very odd, but it was fun. I actually have this for sale if you're interested in it. It's listed on my website. It takes up so much space. I have so many other costume options that I would prefer to wear. It's a little small for me. I don't know how that happened because this was only like 4 years ago and everything else has been fitting. Lots of fluff. I think I got them all by myself. Aprons. Here we have my Cinderella day dress, the one that Cinderella wears for the majority of the 2015 live action movie. I screen printed all the designs on it with an ink that actually dyes the fabric so it doesn't leave a thick residue, which is amazing. This is some custom embroidery that I did for the apron. This is her nicer apron. You actually see her mother wear this apron in the beginning of the movie. And then I also have her work apron, which she wears most of the time. And I'm kind of out of breath because this corset is pretty tight. I haven't put this corset on in probably 2 years. Gotta get used to it. It still fits, so. Now we've gotta do a bunch of transitions into the ball gown because that's necessary. I broke it. Oopsie doopsie. This transition, I can't even see my shoes. Does that look okay? Made of tons of steel boning. This is the most heavy part of the whole dress. Now we get out the petticoat. This one's Barbie, so not that one. I have not touched this since I packed it away right after the Cinderella shoot, which was in 2022. So I have not seen this, not touched it, not worn it. And it is time to unpack it. This was the most time consuming of this entire dress. There's a ton of yards of fabric making up all these flounces and the layers to the petticoat. This has been packed for quite some time, so it is very wrinkly. There we go. Whew. Okay, maybe I lied. This is a little bit heavier. So this is the heavier part, which makes sense. But considering the volume that this has, it's not too much heavier than the crinoline. They're like this. That is all. It just keeps coming. It's crazy. easiest one. I got it! Oh, this is the first time I've put this on by myself. That was crazy. I didn't know if I'd actually be able to do it, but it happened. Just a couple more steps. Okay, almost. Oh, I was worried that it wasn't recording. That would have been so bad. And then of course, I forgot my shoes. This is exhausting, guys. Oh, there we go. I'll just take a nap and I'll film after. This dress is so fun and amazing, but it is very exhausting to put on, especially without help. It would be fine with help, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could put it on by myself, and I did. And now, we're gonna film. But I just need to catch my breath. This corset is tight. It's very tight. I made it like 3 years ago and I was a bit smaller then. So getting it onto the point where these waistbands and the bodice fit me is what makes it kind of uncomfortable right now. And also I haven't put it on for 2 years. I haven't worn many corsets throughout that time, especially none that tight lace me down this much. And it is usually best practice to gradually ease your body into tight lacing. Tight lacing is a different thing than just corsetry, and this one is definitely tight lace. It's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable, but also a little pain for beauty. Everyone does it, right? And I will say, when I made it, it was not bad. I was in it for 6+ hours and we were dancing for 3-ish hours of that, maybe more. So that's very exhausting on top of wearing a corset, but it was not bad at all. I really forgot I was wearing a corset because I was just very used to it at that time. It's not as bad as it is right now, which is not terrible. It's just, I know it's there. Ta-da! Bounce. Here's my masquerade dress. This was my first YouTube series of a very large project. I'm a little bit out of breath because I've just been dancing and jumping. There are definitely some things I wish I'd changed. The main part is the corset. I drafted the corset pattern myself. I didn't really fully understand how corsets are supposed to fit, and also I just made it way too small. So the lacing in the back is definitely way too wide, which doesn't give my back very much support. And since I didn't construct the corset like a tight laced corset, Cinderella one, I can get my waist down even skinnier than this and it's still fairly comfortable because of the way that the corset is made. Whereas this, to get it all tight enough. Everything is too tight, not just my waist. And then also the hem is definitely a lot higher than I had planned it to be. I had it hanging well on my mannequin. I trimmed it, and then when I'm wearing the crinoline kind of pushes up, and so it raises the front of the hem too much. Leaning back is usually not as comfortable as leaning forward, and that's why we have lounge chairs. This is a dress that I hand sewed while I was in Greece. It's a replica of one in One Night with a King. It's probably not my favorite on because the whole closure thing isn't really done, so I have it pinned on right now. I just never finished it properly. I should probably though, because it's kind of fun and just very simple. This and give you get it past the waist.
Thank you. Just text me if you need help with any others.
This is my Barbie dress, and it has so many yards of tulle. There's no boning in the skirt, and it is very hot because it's all plastic, but it's fun, and I did leave sparkles all over the ground. This is my Remnants to Royalty dress, inspired by the two dresses of Cinderella, mid-transformation, spur-of-the-moment project. I think I spent less than a week on it. There you go. This is my Elven Autumn dress. This was a spur-of-the-moment project inspired by Lord of the Rings elves. This was a thrifted curtain, and then I hand-dyed this cotton voile. One of my favorite just random projects that wasn't inspired necessarily by a character, just more of a season. Such a fun time designing it, adding the little details. I really want to do a music video, something like Scarborough Fair. Like, are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Something like that. This is my 1910s ensemble. I really want to make a matching like suit coat to go with the skirt. That was the original idea, but I ran out of time for my deadline that I had set for myself. I did this right after the pandemic started in 2020. I had an idea to tie it into the 1919 pandemic, and so that's why I made this decade of fashion, but it is still one that I need to finish up, but it's still a look just with this. Ridiculous era of fashion, the 1830s. This is my Ariel inspired dress. Crazy, it's fun. I wore it on the beach. Last time I wore it at a party, I ripped the undersleeve because I can't raise my hand very well. Tried to go like this and it tore. There we have it. And yes, I can sit. I'm very straight up, but I can sit and I can lay down, barely. This is my Georgian ensemble 1700s look that I completely hand sewed, except for the cuffs. The cuffs are done on my embroidery machine, but other than that, it's all hand sewn. It took over 100 hours. Stays themselves took 50 hours, and then 50 hours for everything else. It's quite the funny era of fashion. We're gonna try something. I don't know if it'll work. Ready? I think I can. Yeah. Oh, it's not the easiest, but my shoes are slipping. There you go. I can do a push-up in it, and I can almost touch my toes. My sleeves are a little inhibiting right here to go all the way down. And honestly, I can hardly touch my toes to begin with, so there's that. We have my 1880s cozy clothes. It's like a tea gown that they would wear when they weren't expecting company. It still has a corset and petticoats and all the things. It's just less structured. Really, it is pretty cozy. The corset isn't snatched in very tight, so it's pretty comfortable overall. It's wool. And then here, I wore this to an event and I put my name tag on my silk velvet, and when I went to take the name tag off, it took some of the velvet with it. So I decided to embellish that area with some fresh flowers. Maybe I'll eventually get some like silk flowers to permanently put on there. And then this time around, I wore it with my 1830s little bustle. This is from the 1880s, so they would have worn some type of bustle. I just haven't made one from that era, so that's why it looks just slightly funny, I think, but still, bustles are funny in general. Alright, I mostly did it by myself. I have a couple waistband attachments there that I can't really get, and then also that back 3 hooks and eyes to connect the bertha. I was able to get the lacing all finished, which is the first time I've ever done that, but help definitely helps a lot and saves a lot of time. Be right back. This is my 1860s ball gown, hand sewn on geometric trim, and this is not silk, it is actually rayon poly blend fabric, but I think it feels so much like silk and I love it. I love how it flows and drapes. This was my first historical project that I felt like it really worked. Like it came out how I was hoping to. I really like it. It's so spinny. historical swimsuit from the early 1900s, 1910. This is what they would have worn when going swimming. Oh, that was a terrible. I haven't done one of those in a long time. Not great handstands, but I can't do one of those anyway. I can still do what I can do in a corset. Let's see. That way or that way? I don't know. Which is the proper way to do a jumping jack, guys? I haven't done one in forever. And you can also surf. I'm also not good at surfing, so I couldn't demonstrate it well, but you can surf if you kind of know how to surf.
"27 dresses. You gotta be kidding me. You do the thing, you have the dress, just throw it out. This is a huge closet.